Hey everybody, welcome to the Truly Myrtle podcast. I'm Libby. It is lovely to have you with me on this beautifully sunny, but oh look, everyone's telling me it's cold. I don't really feel that cold. I think it's mild today. So we'll see. Maybe you think it's cold. Or let me see your chat so I can see what you're saying. I'm hoping you're all here from all the places, YouTube and Facebook. Let me have a look. Hopefully it's all worked. I can see you here. Give me a hi in the chat. I am based down here in New Zealand. I design knitting patterns for Truly Myrtle, and I'm also the founder of Wardrobe Toolbox, which is we're dedicated to figuring out your knitting problems and also inspiring you and just having a knitting lifestyle, really. So that's Wardrobe Toolbox. You can find out more about that at wardrobetoolbox.com. The doors open twice a year, so they'll open again in the end of September for October start. Here we are. Now I can see you all. It is so lovely to see you. Hi Marina. It's cold in Auckland. Yes, I am in Auckland. Well, actually, I'm just on the fringes of Auckland. I'm not in Auckland, and it's quite lovely out here. Actually, it's actually feeling quite lovely today. Hi Janet. Nice to see you. Hi everybody. Kim and Sabrina. It's crisp in Adelaide, is it, Robin? And it's 6 degrees in Orange, New South Wales. I'm imagining that's probably what we are. I'm going to actually, out of interest, just check my weather app, which I never can usually find. Here we go. Oh, it says I'm 13. 13, partly cloudy. Here we go. It's just a smattering of cloud in the sky, but it's pretty blue. How are you all? Frosty clear morning in the Hunter Valley, New South Wales. Hi, Rachel in Greytown. It's grey. No wind and the sun is out in Ringiora. Oh, it's so nice to see you all. Sunny and warm in Colorado and hot in North Carolina. Oh, it's really good. Oh, you're wearing your embers, Beck, and 4 degrees in Sydney. And sunny and warm. Oh, it's sunny in Waihi. Yes, but it's a beautiful place to be, isn't it? Sunny in Waihi. It'd be so nice down there by the beach. It's hot in Michigan and it's cool and sunny. Oh, little Ruby. She's turned 1. She's turned 1. I can't believe that year's gone so fast. All right, everybody. I have a new pattern to show you, and I've got lots of things to say about it. So shall we get started? It's a pattern that came out inside Wardrobe Toolbox last year in August. I think that's right. I'm pretty sure it was August last year. So I just figured it was a good time to bring it out now, because as we're going into the winter here in New Zealand, and also it's a good small knock it off your needles kind of knit. And I'm wearing her today. This is my third version of this little top. This one is quite particularly cropped. Can you see it comes to, can't really see it, it's cropped. It hits me at my waist. I'm wearing high-waisted navy jeans and it just hits me at my waist, so my shirt hangs out underneath. She is a great little layering top, and I made this in just a few sittings, just sitting down and just going for it. So let me tell you all about her. The name is Rita. The pattern is Rita. This is the picture that you will see for Rita. So I have made 3 versions of this garment, and inside the pattern you have instructions for 2 different versions. There's the one on the cover. Hang on, I'm going to show you the picture, which I can't open the pattern to show you. Look, there's 2 versions, and I've got 2 little sketches so you can see them. There's the little cropped one that I'm wearing now, and then there's the longer one that you could do either or. I'll explain about yarn and things like that. So essentially she's a top down knit. She's one of those ones that starts at the back shoulder, and then you pick up and you curl up over the shoulder and you increase for the neck. You do these lovely long deep armholes, and then you come down to the bottom, and this is where it all starts to be different depending on which version you're choosing. So if you're choosing the one with the longer hem and the split hem, this one is actually pretty cool to wear because she just sort of slops over the top of other things. I'm actually tempted to make another one of these in the similar kind of yarn that I'm wearing now. I'm finding them extremely good to wear because I'm hot. And so they're really good to wear because unless it's particularly cold, I'm not finding it that cold yet this winter. And this is great because my arms are free. And so I don't feel quite so hot. I can, it's great. It just gives me a bit of warmth around my chest where I want it, and then I feel good. But I'm quite keen maybe to have a go again at this one just so I have something that just slops over the top of other things. I think I'll wear that one a lot. Anyway, where shall I start? I've told you that's basically how she's made. She's so fast, and it's really one of those fun constructions. I love the ones that start at the back shoulder. So you knit down to the back here, and then you pick it up and you come around the front. And before you can do that in an evening. And basically in 2 evenings, I was down to joining the underarms and the body, and I had juggled it with other things I was knitting because the stitches are massive, big stitches. I used 6.5mm needles. Let me tell you what that is in US. 10.5s. 10.5 US and 6.5mm needles to make a gauge of 12 stitches and 20 rows. So that is what, 3 stitches per inch. Is that right? 12 divided by 4 is 3. So it's really fat, but it's also quite flexible. I didn't quite know where to start. I've got so many things to tell you. First of all, I'll tell you about the yarn I used originally, because this a bulky yarn, and so I used this Manos, Cardo Manos. It's 100% Corriedale wool. So it's a beautiful thick, look how thick it is. It's lovely and thick and round, and that's the one I used for this one. And so it has fantastic stitch definition, which is why I put this lovely patterning at the bottom and all of this down the side, just so that you have something interesting that's happening in her. Really great stitch definition. I just adore this color. It's pretty electric. It looks so good with charcoal. And at the time I made myself this little charcoal merino. It's got a very faint stripe in it, little charcoal merino top to go underneath it from an Alabama Channon pattern I had. I just whipped that up on my overlocker, and it looks so striking with the charcoal. So that the first option you have is to choose some bulky yarn like this, something lovely and round. It'll pick up the stitches really nicely. You could have a blend. So I used a Corriedale for this, and so it's quite woolly, and the fabric is reasonably it's not fluid fabric. It's reasonably bendy, but it's not fluid. If you wanted something that was more silky, you could choose something that had a bit of silk in it or a bit of alpaca in it to soften it up. You'll lose some of that stitch definition, but I think it'd just still be beautiful. So there's quite a lot you can do by mixing up the yarn just to get a different look. But yes, I'll tell you really quickly. This one is approximately 100 meters per 100 grams. So it really is pretty thick. Where did I buy the mangoes from? You mean the Manos? I think they actually gave me this years and years ago. They sent it to me. I'm imagining it's still out. And Manos is from Uruguay, and I'm not sure where you can grab it. Someone who is in the States probably could tell us. I imagine it's fairly easily available over there, but it's Manos. Knowing that it wasn't available everywhere, and also once I'd made it, I thought, oh, I really fancy this with some other with another variation. I fancy this little cropped version as well. I could see how much I would wear that. Oh yeah, that's all right, Lisa. I could see it was an autocorrect. Mangoes. We do get mangoes when they're out, but this is not a mango. I knew I wanted something that was a little bit different. So what I did was I experimented with holding some yarn together, because one of the beauties of this is that because she's so fat, and you can actually have quite a few yarns held together. So what I did was I knitted this one next. I love this one. This one I used 3 different yarns held together, and look, she's just cropped. This is like the one I'm wearing. She's cropped and she's the same. She starts at the back the same. Pick her up and you work her over the front and you work those details. On the one I just made now, I forgot that I stopped that little patterning there, and I just carried it onto the bottom, but you can just do whatever you like. But for this one, I held 3 yarns together. Now, when I put her out inside Wardrobe Toolbox, we had I actually rewatched it the other day. It's really good, a lesson with a bunch of short videos that just talk you through what happens when you start holding yarn together. And if you're on Wardrobe Toolbox, you maybe want to go back and look at those. They're really good. And I talked you through how you're holding them together, what happens with yarn dominance, and then also the maths of how fat is my yarn now and how much yarn do I need? So I think that's a good one to go and look at. Anyway, for this one, I decided to hold triple, a DK from Eden Cottage in the UK, and from memory that was a Polworth. I've forgotten to grab them out, but this is what I used. And then, I can tell you actually, because it'll be in the pattern. I can tell you exactly what I used. I used a DK from... Oh no, I didn't actually tell you. I just said I held DK fingering and waist lace yarn held triple. So mine was a DK, like a 200 meters. I think it was 225 meters per 100 grams, or 200, around about that. And then I held it with a fingering from Plucky Knitter, which had a bit of cashmere in it. That was beautiful. And that was just a pretty standard fingering 4-ply weight yarn. And then I held it with a mohair silk. And so that was a pretty standard lace weight yarn too, like 800 meters per 100 grams. So I held those three together and I did some swatching, and my stitches were just perfect gauge for that pattern. And this, because it's shorter, this knits so fast. I absolutely loved the fabric that I made, because I don't know if you'll see, but it has all these little pops of color. You might see it better on the back. The mohair was speckled, and so the mohair introduces all these little pops of yellow, orange. It's mostly yellow and orange. There's quite a lot of sort of creamy hint to it, whitey hint to it, because of the silk. Every now and then you have this sort of dark burgundy splotch. It really becomes quite variegated lightly through the whole thing. But I did hope the three colors were mostly the same. So they were mostly pink. They were the similar shades of pink. All the dark splotches, that comes from the mohair, because the DK was that is the overall color, is the DK. The fingering was lighter, but just similar tones, but lighter. And then the mohair was the similar kind of pinks, but it had all of this splotchiness through it. So together they created this beautiful fabric. And one of the things I liked about it was it's so super stretchy. It's just deliciously light and soft and warm and stretchy. And I've worn this a lot. I really enjoy wearing this little top. So what I did was, for wardrobe toolboxes, I'll tell you a little bit of what I talked about with them, just so you are aware. The first thing we talked about was just the practicalities of holding yarn together. You hold them separately. Don't try and wind them up together. You'll find that some of them are a lot more flexible than others, and then you might end up with your mohair just getting really stretched out, and then you get all sorts of strange tension issues. So keep them separate from each other, and they won't tangle. They won't tend to tangle if you keep them kind of neatly next to you. You should be fine. But one of the interesting things that we discovered when I just started doing little swatches, oh hi, how are you, is that the fatter yarn becomes dominant. And so I did a couple of little swatches of two yarns held together. There are my two yarns. So I used the light purple is the thicker yarn, and the dark purple was the finer yarn. And overall, you can see the swatch is it's definitely the dark purple plays a role, but it's mostly a paler color. Overall, the fatter yarn starts to take dominance in it. I did it again, and this time I used the same lightweight dark purple, that fingering, and I mixed it with a mohair silk, which was quite pale. I put those two together, and yes, you can definitely see the paleness coming through, but overall this is a darker swatch. You see, it's darker than this one, because the fatter yarn starts to be dominant in the knitting. So when you're starting to hold things together, be mindful of that. Which is my fatter yarn? I did another couple. I did this one where I had 3 pieces of yarn. I had a DK in the cream, I had a fingering in a bright yellow, and I had a lace weight in a teal, because they're quite different from each other, so you can start to see. Overall though, yes, you see the yellow, yes, you see a bit of the teal, but overall it's quite pale with the cream. The cream is still dominant. And this one, I held actually this was a sport weight cream and a fingering yellow, the same fingering yellow, and the same lace weight mohair. The fingering and the sport weight are more close to each other, and so you get more of the yellow coming through, yellow and blue, more than you did in this one. You can have patches of it that pop through, but you have big patches of the cream. This one is really much more even across. So think about the yarns that you're holding together, both in terms of which color do you want to play a role. You could do what I did and have them all much the same if you want, and then you get that overall blended look. Or you could choose things that are quite different. Now the one I'm wearing, which is my latest one that I just made, which is just dry this morning, can you believe it? I've got it done in time. I use these 3 yarns together, and you'll see that it's overall, I would say, yes, I can see that pale blue, yes, I can see a bit of that green, which has gone all sorts of strange colors because that's a hand spun, but overall it's blue. I would say this is blue. Overall, it has got a lot of green in it, but it's a blue feeling. And so this blue is dominant, and for that one I use this. I don't know if you can get this anymore, Terra from the Fiber Company. I bought it years and years and years ago. Terra, and it's silk, baby alpaca and merino from the Fiber Company, and it's really an Aran weight, they call it. It has got 179 meters, 196 yards per 100 grams. So that was my starting point for this one, was this navy. I have got lots of it. I probably used for the entire garment, I've got a lot here. I probably used about, not even that much. I probably used a slightly smaller ball. I don't know. I probably used about that much of it. Not much, hardly any. But I started with I didn't weigh it, sorry, but I didn't use much, but it's nice to have a little bit more than you think you need. I started with an Aran weight, a worsted Aran weight for my first choice, and so I knew it was already thicker. Can you see? I'm pretty much still this color, but it's just washed out a little bit with the others, and it's actually got quite a little bit of that. Look, it's got pops of the green in it as well. I knew it was going to be drapey. I knew it was going to be soft. I knew it was going to be muted because it's a single spun. And so I knew it would give me, it wouldn't be too crisp. It would definitely be a muted look again, which I wanted. So when I thought about what to put it with, I was umming and ahhing, and I found some hand spun that I had. I only used about half of what I had. So I probably only used about 50, maybe it was a bit more than, maybe I don't remember how much there was in the first place, and I didn't weigh it. I have this vague memory of doing this probably about, I don't know, I might have finished it off in the last 5 or so years, but I think I did the most of it before that. It goes to that really bright green in the middle. This has gone from quite blue through, which you can see at the top up here, or probably at the back more. It's quite blues, and round the outside, the neckband and the armhole was definitely bluer, and then I came back to the body, and you can't really see, it's quite mottled, but I noticed it then shot to it went from quite green that was green, and then it sort of went blue, and then I'm get back to a different color. So it's all over the show, but this was particularly light. And so to me this was like probably a very light fingering, heavy lace weight. And I thought, okay, well, what I'm gaining in this, if I'm thinking about my other one with a DK and a fingering and a lace weight, I've gained a bit in this because it's a bit thicker, but then I've lost a bit with this. So I thought, they could work together. I really winged it. I really winged it. Oh, I didn't bring my little swatch to show you. Bother. Oh, did I? No, I think I left it inside. I wasn't too worried about what was going to work out. I was prepared to kind of eyeball it, and I did. So I started with those. Okay, so far so good. And then I needed to find a third one to go with it, and I had this, and I also had a really minty green. And so what I did was, when I did my swatch, which wasn't very big, I swatched some of it with the minty green and some of it with this blue, and the blue was way better. I much preferred the blue. So I have these 3 quite different colors that I've put together, and it's created a very mild look. It's extremely mild, much more than this one here that I have, the other version. This is all the same sort of tones. So I just love it. I think it's fantastic. I'm really pleased that I got to use some of my hand spun in it. So my message to you is have a go. Just try it and see what happens. I do like the mohair in it. I think it adds something lovely to it. But if you don't like mohair or you don't have any mohair, what about something with a little bit of a halo like alpaca or possum, yak, those kind of ones? I think they'll give you a little bit of the softness if you're after this look. If you don't want that at all and you'd rather a much tighter look, and tighter in terms of, you know, the stitch definition and a crisper look, then go for things that are not round and don't have that fuzz. You want to go for things that don't have the fuzz. You could choose something with a good whack of silk in it, or add some silk and keep it, you know, wool and silk together, but not any of those fuzzy ones. And then you would get this look, and it would be even more ripply. It would be super floaty, which I think I'm quite keen to have a go at when I make another one of those and have it really floaty. So the upshot is the stitches are massive. You can throw together all sorts of different colors, experiment, but when you're doing your experiments to see what they look like, you only have to knit this much. And so you don't have to knit, you don't even have to really knit that much. Just knit a tiny bit so you can see if you like what they're doing together. And then once you've decided you like it, just check that you've got a good amount, a reasonable amount. In here, I've said, I've given you the details for the long version and the cropped version. And I've talked about if you're substituting yarn, then I've given you the yardage. Now, thinking about yardage and how you are going to do that, let me just have a little look. How many yards per 100 grams were your blue and green fibers? Yes, you see, that's a very good question. I knew my blue one. I knew this one because it was this Terra. I knew it was an Aran. And so it was 179 meters, 196 yards per 100 grams. So I knew it was a fatty, right? It was reasonably plump sort of yarn. I had absolutely no idea what this one was. Now I could have worked it out, actually, now I think about it. I could have wound it around and done wraps per inch and figured out what my wraps per inch was, but just eyeballing it, I knew that was not a fingering. That is finer than a fingering. I just know it, you know, after working with so much yarn. So I figured it was, and it was very even. Surprisingly even. I don't know how I managed to make it so nice, but anyway, I did. And so it's surprisingly even all the way through and very fine. So I estimated that was together the same as a DK and a fingering, but this was lighter and this was heavier. I really did just eyeball it. So what I'm saying is you can too. I think you can have a go. But do a little swatch and then count your stitches and see if you're getting the right number. If you do know the yardage, you can roughly work out what things are going to add up to when you start holding them together. So a quick guide is, you know, if you put, well, a quick guide, like I put those 3 together, lace weight, light, very light fingering, heavy lace weight, and a worsted, an Aran, heavy worsted. Those ones together turned out to be pretty much a bulky. You can work it out. And what I've done is I've actually made you a little sheet, right? I've given you the stash busting sheet. I've popped it into the mini mag for tomorrow. So if you're on my mini mag list, you will, I've given you a link to it in there. Just click the button and it will download for you. So you want to jump on my mini mag. It's at truelymyrtle.com/mini mag, and you will get this in your mini mag tomorrow, and then I'll send out a few more over the weekend in case you're late to the party and you've only just joined, so that you'll get it over the weekend as well. The original handout that I had in Wardrobe Toolbox is longer, and it goes through step by step by step it with the videos. How do I work out how fat my yarn is? And it was good actually, because I got some paper and I laid out my strands, and I could say, well, this one is this much per 100 grams and this one is this much per 100 grams, and so therefore when you do your little bit of maths, it works out to be this much per 100 grams. The essence of it is, if you take the average of all of the yarns that you've got to work out their average across 100 grams, then you can work out what your weight is when you divide it by the number of yarns. So I'm just going to explain. I'm not going to go through it because I've got it in the handout here, but and it's definitely inside Wardrobe Toolbox. So let's just say I've got these 3 yarns. What you'll need, if you want to do it mathematically, what you can do is you can say, I know what each of these are per 100 grams. And for this one, which probably came in a 50 or 25 gram ball, you're going to have to round that up to work out how much it is. If it's that much for 50 grams, then I'll double it to make it 100 grams. You want to find out what each of these are per 100 grams. For the hand spun, you could do it by wraps per inch and just estimate it. You might have a good idea of how much yardage you've got anyway. But per 100 grams, you say, I've got each one. I'm going to find the average of those 3. And to find the average, I add up each of them. I add them together. So if you've only got 2, you add up 2. If you've got 3, you add up 3. And then you divide it by the number of strands. This is to get your average, right? We did this at primary school. Add 3 things together, divide it by 3, and that will give you your average weight across them. And then you'll divide that by 3 to find the weight of the yarn you're holding. So if you've only got 2, you just do it by 2, and you can add up the 2, divide it by 2 to get your average across the 2, and then divide it by 2 again to find out how much the weight is per 100 grams for them all joined together. And when you know the weight per 100 grams, then you can go back to your knowledge or look online and say, all right, this one is worked out to be an average of 100 meters per 100 grams. And you'll say, oh, how about that? It's a bulky. That's exactly what I need. Or you might be just under or just over, and then you can adjust depending on what you've got. Barbara said, I use Naturally Moro yarn, which is a combination of 42% superfine alpaca, 40% wool, 18% hemp. Oh yeah, that would be nice, Barbara. That would be nice because you'd have, the hemp would give you a little bit of a ripple to it, wouldn't it? And the alpaca, a little bit of the fuzz and the softness, and then the wool to kind of hold things together. She's keen to do another one using a combo of yarns to include mohair. Yeah, they're so fast, so it's good to do. Now, what I have done is I've talked to you here about color dominance. Now, we've gone over that a little bit here with the color dominance. I've talked to you about needle size. Just quickly, just start with whatever you could start with what the pattern suggests or what your weight of yarn is suggesting. I did make the original lesson a bit broader, so it didn't just cover this pattern. I've talked about how to actually multi-strand them, how to calculate your yardage. I just give you a quick guide, and then how to do it if you're using maths. And so I just talk you through what I've told you there. It's brief. I've also got a precise method and a quick method for working out yardage. So you need to work out what the yardage of your yarn is. I think it's really, really fun. I think it's just so much fun. I can't tell you, because you get to go into your stash and you go, what shall I put together? I've got this little bit of this left over and a little bit of this. And don't forget, when you're using yarns held together, you need the same meterage of each one, because even though some are fat and some are skinny, they all have to travel the same distance. So you make sure you've got roughly the same meterage or yardage of each one when you're holding them together, so you don't run out of one. But if you run out of one and it's something like a hand spun or a little bit of mohair, you might say, maybe I'll just try a little bit of something different for the edges, or maybe I'll just do a little something different somewhere else. I think there's really lots of opportunity to have a bit of a play and see what you like. Is mohair warmer than alpaca? I actually don't know if it's warmer, but I suspect it might be warmer because it has more fluff, so there's more opportunities to capture air, and it's the air, the warm air, that makes you warm. So if you can capture lots of air, apart from weight, things can get heavy. I guess that can keep you warm, but where you're capturing the little air keeps you warm, and there's a lot more air. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's my expectation anyway. What else am I going to tell you about this? What size did I knit mine in? That is a very good question. There are 15 sizes in the pattern. I'm pretty sure I used a 5. I did size 5. And but yeah, there are 15 sizes, so there's lots of opportunity to do. You can. I'll talk to you about making mods too, actually, because I think that can be helpful to some of you as well. I've got photos in here of both the pink version and the green version. That's the pink version that I have, so it's cropped, and that's the same as the one I'm wearing now. And so it's just nice and short, but you can make it as long as you like. What was I going to say as well? Let's talk about actually choosing a size then and doing a few mods if you want to, because it's nice and easy to do it in this. Hi Maureen, nice to see you. So like I said, we cast on at the back neck across here. So to choose a size, you're going to want one that fits you through this part of you here. That's the first thing when you're choosing a size anyway. Go for your upper bust measurement. Excuse me, I'm just going to cough again. What did I say the ease was? Go for the upper bust measurement. My one is reasonably close fitting to me. It's got 2.75 inches of ease at the bust. It's pretty close on me. It's not tight, but it does just fit. It fits it kind of closely. The thing about fat yarn is that even though it might read as if it's got a ton of ease, the yarn, if you've got a fat fabric that you've made, which this is, that eats into some of your ease. And so you're going to, if you want something baggy, you need more ease. Otherwise, you're going to have it all eaten up by your fabric. So this is just like, it just fits me nicely across the boobs. It's definitely not tight. It's not stretched out. There's room in here for me, but it just sits nicely on me. And that's about 2. I don't know if I'm still the same size as I was last year. Oh no, I probably am roughly the same size as I was when I made them before. So it's probably about 2.5 inches of ease on me, I imagine. 2.5, I said 2.75, but it's around about that on me. So choose a size, take your upper bust measurement, add a couple of inches to it, like 2 inches or 5 centimeters to it, and then pretend that's your full bust and choose a size based on that. So go to the pattern and just pretend, just ignore what your real bust is at the minute. Take your upper bust, add on 5 centimeters or 2 inches and say, okay, now that's my new pretend bust and I'm going to choose a size, because that will give you the right size at the shoulders, so that you don't end up with something that's just massive at the shoulders, that you get a neck size that is cozy, that isn't too big around your neck, that has got the shoulders that hit you just perfectly at the end of your shoulders rather than falling all the way down, although I don't think it matters terribly on this one for that. But just so the armholes aren't too big and all of those things. So that's where you start, upper bust. And then you can cast on, and I think you can get yourself to kind of about here. Get yourself to your neck, and then you can start thinking, okay, what am I going to do now? How am I going to add room for my bust if my bust is not the same size as in the pattern, if my bust is bigger than what's in the pattern? Now for some of you, I'll just wind back a little bit. For those of you who have a smaller bust and very broad shoulders and very straight shoulders, you're still going to want to do this because you want it to fit your shoulders. Just know that you're going to have a little more room around the bust. But for those of you who, and I think that looks fine, but for those of you who have a bigger bust, a bust that sticks out the front rather than the back, I mean, it's not going to stick out the back, but you know, it's a small back, narrower shoulders, proportionate to your bust, then get to about here and then have a think, okay, what am I going to do now? Am I going to pop in a bust dart down here? And it's going to be quite low. You're going to want to do it pretty much as soon as you've started your underarm. You'll want to start your bust dart because already there's my full bust, right? We're already quite low here. So maybe that won't work for you so well. You can have a play with it. The name of the pattern is called Rita, Dale. So maybe you want to not do it there. You could still do a little bit of a dart there and give yourself a little bit more length so it doesn't pop up so much. But you can also start adding some stitches. Either you can add stitches so by the time you get to that part of your bust, you've got more stitches. And you can either do them as you're going down the armhole, you could add more stitches. You could add more stitches under the arm. Because we're not picking up a sleeve, you might decide that actually where I've got you to cast on maybe an inch or an inch and a half or 2 inches under the arms, you might just add on a few more. Don't forget that the stitches are massive. So you don't need to add many to get more room. So you might only have, if you've got 3 stitches to give you an inch and you only need 2 stitches, that's just 6 stitches to chuck in. So you might do some extra stitches down here on the inside of your neckline so that they are, you've got 2, just dot them down. We had a fabulous masterclass last night inside Wardrobe Toolbox, and the woman that came to talk to us was talking about adding a line of stitches, just dotting them in through here. So you could do that as well. You're awake, Diane. I can't believe it, because you've hardly slept. Diane was in our masterclass last night and it was the middle of the night just about for you. But oh yes, thank you, Diane. She likes the blue version. So there are lots of places to add in these extra stitches to get you to the bust circumference that you want. Now don't go nuts. Don't get yourself to the bust circumference and a little bit more just because for luck. Don't do that. You don't want to be having acres and acres of increases and acres of fabric. I encourage you to just pull back a little bit on the ease at the bust, and especially if you're doing this, especially if you've got one of these yarns where you've got a ton, one of these fabrics that you've made that's got a ton of stretchiness. You don't need acres and acres of fabric. You're going to have a lovely stretch in that anyway. So I'd pull back on how many stitches you want to add to get to your bust. You might have it just exactly the same as your bust, or maybe even a little bit smaller, because your bust is it's just going to look fabulous when this just curls around your bust. Very sexy. I think you'll look great. So figure out where you're going to put in some extra stitches, or if you're going to do a bust dart like that. If you then want to lose those stitches afterwards, you could just have it so that it hangs down. Look how this sort of stretches out around my bust a bit, but then skinks in at my waist a little bit, although to be honest, my waist is actually down here. But it skinks in just a little bit so that the fabric is moving with me. So you might want to lose more stitches, or you might want to just see what the fabric does. But you could lose more stitches. So you could lose them down here, through the middle. You could lose them at the sides. Last night, the designer that was talking to us was losing them like on an angle down here like that at the side. I thought that looked pretty groovy actually. So there's ways of losing them. You could just dot a few away underneath here just to get rid of a couple. Don't forget, there's not going to be many because they're so big. So 3 stitches is going to give you a whole inch or 2.5 centimeters. So you don't have to lose a heck of a lot to get you down to where you want to be. If you want to have the slouchier version that goes down and then has the tail, think about your stitch count at the bottom. Either get yourself back to something that's going to work for the bottom, and the same with your rib actually. Think about your ribbing at the bottom. The reason I say that is because I don't really want you to have to decrease and increase at the bottom where it's noticeable to get to the right stitch count. I'd rather if you'd sort of dotted them in. And if you're going to be using a yarn like this, which is much less forgiving for stitch increases and decreases, I would be inclined to make these increases part of the design. I would make them come either down the armhole or down the neck, or I tuck them in so they looked like they were part of the design. This one I'd be less inclined to do them just scattered through the middle. You could give yourself a slightly wider under the neck. You could add, when you come to join the necks together, you could give yourself an extra stitch. This one, I actually got to the end of the back and I was like, oh, my stitch count's slightly out, just by 1 stitch. I couldn't figure out where I'd gone wrong. I thought, whatever, I'm sure it's fine. And I thought what I'll do is I had 1 extra stitch, that's right, 1 extra stitch at the back. So I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'll just do 1 less stitch at the front when I went under the arms. And then I thought, oh, okay, I've done 1 extra stitch under the arms. Actually, you know what I'll do? I'll do an extra stitch increase on either side under the arms here. I thought that'll be fine. And that's what I did. I just fudged it. You can fudge it too, but I'd be less inclined to fudge it through an area where you're really going to see the increases and decreases. So if you're going to use a yarn like this, place any increases and any decreases in place. I would put them in places where they look more like they're part of the pattern and less like they're just rammed in. and think about what stitch count you need at the bottom, so you don't have some weird kind of funny decreases and increases down here that you'll really notice. But if you're going to use a yarn like this or like this, although to be honest, this one is better to fudge it in because it's darker. This one, you would have seen it a little bit more because it's so light and the stitches are quite clear. So you could experiment. I would still think for this one, I would have put any extras just hidden into part of the design. So you know how you have an increase through here, maybe you'd leave it a couple of stitches and do it's just a second line through here. You could do that. Some more under the arm. You could have added a couple more in here. You could have gone, I don't know if I'd go fractionally wider at the shoulder because you've already chosen a size to fit you at the shoulder, but you could give yourself a couple more stitches under here. That would give you half an inch more width through the front if you did it here. And I think it depends on what you want your neck to look like. So you could make it so the neck was quite round if you wanted. In that case, just don't forget it's going to make this part wider there too. So maybe, I don't know, maybe put them in a bit lower. Have a play. I don't think you can really go wrong. I think it's just, yeah, it's one of those nice ones where you can just pop things in and pop things in. But be aware that when you get to the bottom, if you're doing a 1x1 rib, you're going to need a multiple of 2 for your stitch count. And if you're doing this particular one here, then you've got to think about how many stitches do I need at the front. I've forgotten what I did now. It looks like it's a 2x. Looks like I did a three stitch repeat here, and then I had edge stitches. So just look ahead in the pattern and say, what kind of stitch count do I need at the bottom and how am I going to get to that? And then you will be fine. Do you think some summer blend yarns could work well? I'm thinking a cotton blend with mohair for a multi-seasonal vest. Oh, I think that could look lovely, but be very aware of like I was just saying, of where you're putting the stitches. Where are you going to throw in extra stitches or take stitches away, and be aware of that, because I think you will see it. The mohair will give you a little bit of leeway, but that linen, did you say cotton? The cotton's going to be a little unforgiving, I think, when it comes to that. But goodness me, it would have lovely drape, wouldn't it? It'd be just lovely. It'd be really nice. I'm curious to see what happens when you're putting different things together. It reminds me of remember I had that podcast with Ethan over the summer, and we were talking about different yarn blends, and he was talking about this kind of the direction of different companies, and one of the companies was the Fibre Company, and how the Fibre Company have come up with these blends, these beautiful blends where they have already blended the yarn for you. So the silk noir, so the silk noir is interesting because that's like a raw silk, baby alpaca and merino, they've put it all in together, versus someone like Isia, who they give you the silk noir, or I don't know if they've got that one, but they give you this bit and this one and this one, and then you hold them all together to make a beautiful blend. So this is your opportunity to really do that and make a beautiful blend. We should have a Rita meetup. Wouldn't that be nice? Yes, I'll probably take, I think I wore mine last year at Cairns, so only the Wardrobe Toolbox has had it back then. Okay, she will be out tomorrow, and I'm just getting myself all ready. So the pattern will be out tomorrow. If you are in Wardrobe Toolbox, it is there for you, and you get a great discount on your patterns inside Wardrobe Toolbox. I've actually just increased the discount for you. I've made it a little bit bigger, and so if you go in there now, you'll see that everything's just a little bit cheaper. I thought that would be good. So you can get it there, and if you haven't already got it as part of your membership from when you were there, if you weren't there last August, then you can grab it there. Otherwise, it will be out tomorrow. Now, I only advertise my discounts inside my mini mag, so you'll need to be on my mini mag list to get that. And I'm going to send you some pictures of some beautiful Ritas, and I'm going to tell you all about it in the mini mag, and I'll send out a few over the weekend with the discount code. And so you'll need to go to trulymyrtle.com/ I was going to say all sorts of strange things then. Minimag, MINIMAG. Minimag. That's how you sign up, and I will email you tomorrow. Now, if you're watching this later and you're like, oh no, it's already out, just sign up anyway. I will send out emails all over the weekend, and so that you won't miss out. You will get hold of it. And inside I will have a download for the stash busting handout. I thoroughly encourage you. In fact, Wardrobe Toolboxes, I think I'm going to link to it next week so that you get a reminder about it. Go and have a little look inside Wardrobe Toolbox for multi-stranded knitting, I think I called it. Not multi-stranded knitting, and you can get your videos and everything that goes with it, where I just walk you all through the maths and I walk you through all of the practicalities of it, so that you can make your, you can have so much fun. Is the hemline like the green one in the pattern, Libby? There are two. This one that I've got is cropped. It just stops there. It's cropped. It's like this one. I did another cropped one, and I think this one is just fractionally shorter. I did it to my waist, so it hits me at the waist, and then my shirt hangs out underneath. I like it. It's just like I'm so free. I've got so much movement in this, and I'm not even hot. It's amazing. I love it. I just love it. So I'm going to make more of these, because I think they are perfect for this time of life. They are absolutely perfect because I'm not overheating at all. I feel good in this. So this one is longer. This one is much longer, and I think I will do one of these. I'm in a real knitting mood at the moment. I've been doing so much knitting. It's fantastic. And I've got all these patterns coming off my needles. It's just amazing how many things I've got coming for you. So I'm quite enjoying myself. Anyway, you want to be on my mini mag list. I'll send you all that stuff to you. I think that was all I had to tell you today. We've talked about yarn. We've talked about construction. We've talked about mods. And we've talked about, I think, everything we need to talk about for the new pattern. So yay, that's pretty good. Now, if you have a question for me that you want me to answer on the podcast, you can actually send me that question and I will answer it for you, and I'll have some time next week to sit down and answer some questions. So if I have any, I will answer them. If you head over to my website again, trulymyrtle.com, and you do /ask, ASK, it will take you to that page where you can ask me your question, and I just pull all those out and I answer them on the podcast next week, so we can do that. I remembered there was one more thing to tell you. We're going to have a Rita knit along. It'll probably last like 2 minutes because everyone's going to knit them so fast. But we are going to have a Rita knit along over in the Hangout, and we have a big Facebook group called the Hangout, the Truly Myrtle Knit and Chat Hangout on Facebook. You just have a look on Facebook, look up Truly Myrtle and Hangout. I'll put some links on my Facebook page. I'll try and remember to do that today so that if you can't find it, you'll find it. It's there. There'll be a link inside my mini mag tomorrow. Head over and join us. I think we've now got about 5,200 or 5,300 people in there. And so we're going to have a Rita knit along. Maybe I might do one more. I might do another one in the longer version. Or I'm going to do that when I hop off the phone. I'm going to hop off the phone from you, and I'm just going to go and maybe choose a little bit of extra yarn. I might join you, and I'll just do mine. I have got some other things I really need to get done now, but I'll just dot this in between. I'll do one with you. So, I'm looking forward to that. Maybe I'll use some more hand spun. I might. You'll see. You'll see what I decide to use. I'm just going to wing it again. I'm not going to be too stressed out about it. I'm going to wing it and just see what happens. I might do a little bit of experiment. Where did I get that green wool? This wool? Is that the one? Oh, no, you mean this one. I think you mean this one. The lovely people at Manos have sent me some yarn. Years and years ago, they sent me this. They've sent me a bit of yarn over the years. They're really nice. And this is their Cardo. So I'm not sure. I didn't look up for you. I'm really sorry, to see where you could grab it. This is Spirulina. Oh, I do know where you can grab it, because I bought more, because I had a bunch and I bought more from... What's that yarn shop in Sydney? Not Skein Queen. Not Skein Sisters. What's the big yarn shop in Sydney called? Someone here who lives in Sydney, you can tell me. I got it from there. They had this colour. It actually had a couple of different colours. I've got a bit left now, and so it's actually quite good to use when I'm doing demos with my hands, showing you how to knit things, because it's so fat. There is Sydney. There is some at a yarn shop in Sydney, because I did get a bit more, because I didn't have quite enough. I did have enough in there, but I was going to make something else. It was a long story. I'm not going to go into it, but I did buy a bit more. So Sydney, you definitely can. I think you probably get it all over the show. They're from Uruguay, this one. Morris and Sons. Thank you, Kelly. Morris and Sons. I imagine they still have it. I got it last year, so they probably still have some there. Morris and Co. Morris and Co. Morris and Sons. Morris in Sydney. They have it. It is absolutely lovely. It's extremely warm. It's lovely. And the colours are fantastic. Fantastic. It looks so good with, it looks so good with navy and charcoals and those kind of things. Okay, so the knit along is happening. It'll start this weekend. Everyone can get the pattern tomorrow. Have a little think in your stash. Thank you, Becky. Morris and Sons. Yes, Val, that's it. Morris and Sons. Have a look through your stash. I'm really keen that if you want to, that you stash dive, because I think we can do it with stash diving. And you really don't need a lot of yarn. This was twice as big. I'd probably use half of this. I used about, this is what's left from 150 gram skein. So I used probably 25 grams of that. And then I think I used about that much of the Aran. Look, it's not much. I think I might have used 2 skeins of the DK when I made that one, or maybe 1.5. But obviously I made the size 5. So if you're making a bigger size, you'll need more. If you're making a smaller size, you'll need less. But come and join us over in the Hangout. I'm really keen to see what yarn you find to make your Rita with. And you might like to do what I did. And when you're trying to decide what you're putting together, just do a little swatch like that. And you could do a bigger swatch for your gauge if you want to, but I think you can get a reasonable idea from a smallish one. I don't normally say that, but you might. But be wary, it doesn't always work out. But if you're feeling confident, then you might be okay. But just do a little swatch to see what the colours look like together. Maureen says, one more question. Is a DK and a sport weight a chunky weight? I think that you'll probably find it is. What you'll want to do is you want to work out how much they are per 100 grams, add those two together, divide it by 4, roughly. And because you divide it by 2 and then divide it by 2 again. And that will tell you how much the yarn held together is per 100 grams. And if it's around... this one is 100 meters per 100 grams. So if it's around 100 meters per 100 grams when you've done that calculation, then you're in the ballpark. And so that will, it hopefully will be a good fit for you. And then I just do a little swatch just to see how it goes. And then maybe steam it, at least steam it, give it a wash and see how it blooms and what it looks like. Morris and Sons, yes. Morris and Sons. For this one, if you're in the southern hemisphere, if you're in the northern hemisphere, you probably have a lot more options, but it's Manos Cardo, so go and have a look for that. Okay, everybody, I think we're going to have a lot of fun. I'm quite pleased now. I think it's a good idea if I do one more, and I will do it longer. Might take me a wee while to do it, but that's fine. We can all just potter away with them and show each other over there in the Hangout. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do. And for the wardrobe toolboxes, you can come and join the Hangout. I mean, a lot of you are in there anyway, and do it in the Hangout, or you could do it in our lounge for wardrobe toolbox. I think we'll have a revival of the Rita vest slipover. It's called a slipover now. That's the name, the slipover. Over there. All right, everybody, have a really, really happy week. I will see you same time, same place next week. Do a heap of knitting, and I'm looking forward to seeing what yarn you choose. All right, everybody, see you later. Bye.